Welcome back to Fire Emblem The Sacred Stones. Last time, after a long and difficult journey, the twins finally reunited. But their reunion is gonna be short-lived. This time we have a unique, it's not exactly a chapter, I like to call this the intermission of the game. It's a few cutscenes and a lead into an important decision. So this is going to be a bit of a unique part. Let's go. First, Erica and Ephraim are back in Seraphue for a bit of reminiscence. And so I can mention this name. I used to pronounce this Lion when I played, but dialogue in Fire Emblem Heroes says it Leon, and that's how it's said in Japanese as well. So, yeah, I'm going to pronounce it Leon. And flashback time. Huh, Grotto Keep sure looked a lot like Seraphue back then, didn't it? Oh, don't you just love flashback irony? Yet more lines that went over my head back when I was younger, but I fully get what they're implying now. So we learned a few things there. Erica and Ephraim used to have a childhood friend, and Ephraim learned the art of the lance from a general of Grado. Yeah, I wonder how Leon felt. Well, you know these games, there's often a lot of inter-family fighting. And now part 2 of our cutscenes, back in Frelia. And finally reunited with Tana again. Mostly for Ephraim's, but yeah, for certain reasons. Speaking of which... Yep, her brother is back. Here's Ainz. He was a grey-haired, angsty archer who hates the main character before it was cool. Yeah, seriously, so much about this guy. When you compare it to a certain character who appeared in a certain later game, they're actually disturbingly similar. With one big exception. Yeah, Ainz doesn't get along with Ephraim very well. Another funny thing is that in the beta version, Tana was not Ainz's sister. Someone else was, and I'll be discussing that when we get to them. Would have been kind of interesting though. I do admit that Tana doesn't really look like his sister. The other character probably would have fitted that role better. It's like, oh yeah, your dad's dead. Well, I don't care, bye. Yes, at least he's still a jerk. Yeah, of course, he's the rival type. Wants to be the best at everything. Like I said, there is so much about Ainz that's similar to a certain other someone. In fact, they even both have underlings who have crushes on them. In Ainz's case, it's Vanessa. And he was listening in on the whole time. Well, it's been a while since we met up with our major allies. It's about time we discussed things about this war, now that some pretty big developments have occurred. So, first Ainz's news, which we have no idea about, since he's been completely off-screen for all of the first part of the game. Well, that's at least good to know. Erica has a lead in that regard, we've already found out. But it seems like Frelia's Pegasus Knights have a pretty far reach. They already know what we found out. This is our main lead so far. You know, I just realized something. The background here, is that the same background as Burn Castle from FE7? I think it is, now that I think about it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're holding back all the evil creatures. Though, then again, Ephraim seems to think that Grado's enlisted the aid of the evil creatures. And now he's gonna weigh in. He has a lead too. A lead that we actually don't know about yet, because the one chapter that we had with him, we didn't see any of this. We didn't see Mur at all. I think that's how she's supposed to be pronounced. And now we finally see this. If you're familiar with later games in the series, you'll probably know what she is. But this is actually pretty significant. Although she's pretty shy. So this. This was the first instance where people outside Japan heard the term Manakete, and this was the first use of the localized term. In the Japanese version, they'd always been called Mumkoots, which, by the way, is actually trademarked by Intelligent Systems. So, this was actually pretty significant back in the day. Mer was the very first Manakete that we really knew of. I was gonna say something, but that's a spoiler for FE7 and I won't... Well, I mean, admittedly, Heroes is spoiled that already, so it doesn't really matter. But anyway, technically speaking, Mer is the first Manakete that Western fans were exposed to. But in every Fire Emblem universe, we still don't know if this has any connection to the others, but the Manaketes have a different... Well, not exactly backstory, but they have a different history and culture in every universe, basically. In this one, they seem to be able to sense evil. They felt a force that had awakened. And that's the first mention of Soleil's name. We actually have seen this guy before, but we didn't know his name until now. We also technically don't know that the person we saw before is him. Like I said, in the beta... Well, actually, let me just mention this. In the beta version, Soleil was the one who killed the boss of Chapter 6 with a scripted critical, so you probably were intended to meet him much earlier. This would actually explain things a bit better now I think about it, because Mer got lost and separated from him. Him showing up in Chapter 6 would have explained where he went after that. Yeah, I imagine one of the dragon folk would, certain people would be looking for them. Yeah, unfortunately we never saw this encounter with Mer back when we were playing as him. I kind of wish you did. Yeah, the wings are kind of a dead giveaway. However, before we can go any further with that, a messenger has appeared. They've already begun a major attack, and it seems like we've already lost. Yeah, we remember earlier those two were dispatched to Frelia. Yeah, this was their mission, and it seems like they've achieved it. Well, clearly, Frelia's soldiers are terrible. I always found that line kind of weird. She's the one. I don't know why he's saying that exactly. And this is a lesson in why you don't let NPC soldiers defend something significant. This is pretty typical of green units in Fire Emblem. Frelia, seriously, get better guards. Wow, they must have all been level 1 or something. They're all terrible. And 1 down, 4 remain. As far as we know, at least. And that guy's moving even more slowly than usual. Yeah, smashing the stones is definitely a bad idea. Of course, Kalak doesn't really care as long as he gets paid. And overkill for good measure. So that's the thing with Kaylark. He's hateable, but his dialogue is pretty well written. I feel like he's a good example of how to do an ambitious villain in a Fire Emblem game. Like, ambitious mercenary villain. Again, Fates could have learned so much with Hans. This is really what Hans always should have been, I thought. And this is a 2004 game. And yeah, Selena's still loyal, but she's not going to commit any atrocities in the Emperor's name. We could already see that. And so that's one Sacred Stone lost. Because you put terrible NPCs in charge of guarding it. If we'd been there, things might have been different. I say might have been because it's a little early in the game to be fighting two major generals of the Empire. Yeah, we've got to do something. That definitely makes sense. The moment they've only attacked Renee's and Frelia, but these two are next on the list. It's no longer just our fight. It's pretty much everyone against Grotto at this point. And so Ainz is going to be setting out directly for one of the countries. And what he says there makes a lot of sense. So he's going to Johanna. And Erica's apparently heading for Ralston. Well, I mean, she's already been doing that for 8 chapters now. 9 if you include the prologue. Oh yeah, no danger, you say. Well, this is a Fire Emblem game. That's obviously going to be wrong. And with that, Ephraim is going to attack the Imperial capital directly, which was his plan to begin with. If their attention is occupied with 2 other armies, then I guess they mightn't see this coming. And if they do manage to take the capital, like he says, the war is over. I kind of like how Ephraim was portrayed here better than back in Chapter 5X, basically. Other people are calling him out on his rashness. So, we've got 3 paths here. Only 2 of them really concern us. It doesn't matter, we have more than enough capable soldiers. One of them has a much more difficult road than the others, though. So yes, none of them can fail. I love this scene. And so with that, we get 10,000 gold to spend. But just as soon as they've met up, they're splitting up again. But Erica has to take action. She's already proved herself capable. Yeah, they're kind of lampshading this right here. Ephraim has the tougher time. But he himself is stronger. And yeah, this is good too, when he talks, when he has lines like this. See, I guess Ephraim is a little bit inconsistent. It's portrayals like this that I like, when he realizes his limitations and flaws and acknowledges them. There's a bit more of that at some other points in the game. So the 2 of them will survive, and with that, Erica and Ephraim part ways. And we have a choice to make. We can go with Erica to Ralston, although that's kind of a lie. or go with Ephraim to Grado. This is the route split in this game, so let me talk about how this is going to go. You choose one of the two twins. Once you do, the other will leave your party for this portion of the game. This is what I like to call Act 2. Act 2 consists of chapters 9 to 14. Erica and Ephraim both have separate routes for Act 2, and each one, they take on completely unique chapters. Erica's route is easier, Ephraim's is a lot more difficult, so I would recommend Erica's more to first-time players, especially because I feel... Okay, so here's the thing. Plot-wise, besides character recruitments and who goes with you, which, by the way, you still have access to your entire army no matter who you choose to go with, apart from the twin that you don't choose. But, apart from character recruitments and all that, both of these routes are, plot-wise, considered to be happening simultaneously. So, the story developments that unfold, both of them are canon. And because of that, I'll be approaching it like this. I'll be choosing Erica first, but I'll keep my save from this intermission chapter. I will play through and record Erica chapters 9 to 14. Then, I will go and play and record Ephraim chapters 9 to 14. After that, I'll do 15, which is the same map, but it's slightly different depending on which route you're on. I'll be doing that with Erica's route, because I like certain story developments in that map better for Erica than for Ephraim. I should also say another reason why I recommend Erica for first-time players is that I think her story developments, I like those better than Ephraim's. However, after chapter 15, the twins reunite. Which twin you picked here will be considered the main character for the rest of the game into the final act. That means that they'll be the one that's required to be deployed in all chapters. Also, while from chapter 16 on the maps will be the same, there will be slight differences in enemy positions and in your deployment location, depending on which route you picked now. Also, there are significant story changes based on who you pick now in the final act of the game. Although the maps are the same, the story is very, very different. I prefer Ephraim's version of the final act of the game. Because of that, Ephraim's route will be the one that I consider canon and will carry on to the end of the game, even though I'll be playing Erica's chapter 15. I should also mention, no matter which route you pick, you will recruit every character in this game. The only difference is when they join. Some people join earlier on one route than the other. Now for this, Erica, again, I recommend for first-time players, because she gets the better characters much earlier. There are a lot of people who benefit from Erica's route much more than Ephraim's, and there are really only, I'd say, 2 people on Ephraim's route who benefit more than they do in Erica's. So, with that, I'll be picking Erica just for now, but I'll actually be continuing this part. Because there's one more thing that I want to show. One thing though to point out here is this is going to justify why Kyle and Ford join you even on Erica's route. On Ephraim's route, they're going to justify why the entire party goes with Ephraim. Which kind of makes less sense. So yeah, they wouldn't take away characters just like they took away Orson. They're still going to go with Erica. I guess he would say something like that. Granted, you don't want to talk Ford about loafing around. You're the one who starts painting in the middle of a battlefield in some of your support conversations. It does make sense for him to have more men, but because he's off-screen, he will automatically just win all of his battles, so we don't need to worry. That is actually pretty awesome. And so, that's the end of a new journey. What I'm going to be doing now is, I'm going to be saving a separate file here, because I need this a new journey save in order to do Ephraim's route later on. So, let's save here, and I'm actually going to be continuing. Because even though you saw Chapter 9 there, that's not where we're going to go next. Because something significant unlocks at this point in the game. Actually, two things. Also, we get a new world map theme, which is pretty awesome. So, the Tower of Valny has appeared. This is the tower that used to hold the Sacred Stone of Frelia. Now it's a host for monsters. And this is basically our training ground. This is one of the most controversial things about this game, at least at the time. Now that grinding has become more the norm in the series, it's become less controversial. This line seems a bit ambiguous. What this means is, at the moment, we only have access to one floor of the tower. For every main story chapter we complete, we have access to another floor of the tower. There are in total, I think, 7 or 8 floors, but you'll have access to all of them once you've completed a significant portion of the main story. Also, skirmishes have now been unlocked. Took quite a while. But yeah, skirmishes will appear. We also have the option to retreat at any time in case we're losing people, which is pretty convenient. So that sound there, that means an enemy just spawned. So here we have a Bone Walker in the Aldous Plains. Going here will initiate a skirmish battle. If you've played Awakening or Fates or Echoes, you'll pretty much know how these work. They work pretty much the same way, except that the enemies in skirmishes are always monsters. Which is part of why I said Slayer is such an amazing skill. Also, skirmish maps can sometimes have fog of war, even on maps where there wasn't fog originally. Be careful of that. So skirmishes can show up in any map that's one of these little dots. They'll never show up in towns. However, something also to note is that if the map, like Zaha Woods, originally had villages, the villages will automatically be destroyed in the skirmish version of the map. So if you miss the villages the first time, you're not getting them again, sorry. This sadly means that Arthur and Lute's home is now destroyed by monsters. Anyway, the Tower of Valny is where I'm going to be heading to now. So let's go. This is pretty much our training grounds. Now at the moment we only have access to floor 1. Personally, I find floor 1 of the Tower of Valny to be more than enough for all my training needs. I really never need to go further. As you can see here, we can't save on the preparation screen on the tower. This will become more apparent later on, why this is a thing. But something else about skirmish maps, and the tower counts as a skirmish map, Erica, or Ephraim if you're on the other route, is not forced. You can leave them out just fine. So we can pick anyone we want here. Now, so as to not get too overleveled on my main party, I'm going to be using a B team here, basically. Of characters who I am not really going to be using during the main game, but I want to show off training with anyway. So, let's go ahead and get our items in order. Let's give Mulder's heal staff back to Natasha. Oh yeah, Natasha is going to be on my main team, but I just want to bring her because she's a healer. And I want her to get a little bit more experience. So, convoy those two. Guess Colm is technically on my main team too, but he's a little weak, so I don't worry about him being leveled up a bit here. Now, Gilliam, though, I'm going to need to take back one of the Lancers from Franz there. And that should be enough. Now, if we check the map, something kind of interesting about the tower maps, the enemies, apart from the boss, are random. Whoa, we have 2 entombed here? That's a little unlikely, considering that, like I said, yes, the enemies here are randomized. Here's a Bone Walker. We haven't seen these before. And when I practiced this map, this guy wasn't even here. He also has a longbow. That's actually pretty dangerous. So you can't really prepare too much for the tower because, like I said, the enemies are randomized a bit. They also have randomized items. If you've played Awakening, you'll be familiar with that kind of thing. Often a little bit of extra gold, poison sword. Last time I was here, one of these guys had a killing edge to drop. Sometimes they'll drop weapons. So here we've just got a bit of gold. Okay, this is actually a problem because you weren't there last time. Might need to take you out quickly then. Steel Lance. Poison Sword. Oh, that's actually really bad. Okay, because you have a Poison Sword, I'm going to actually take one of my antitoxins out because I know Gilliam is going to get poisoned. So, let's see. That's also... That longbow guy is also really bad for Vanessa. I think I'll swap Gilliam around there. I'm going to need to hunt you down. Arto will, I guess, stay back here. Vanessa will be in position to intercept anyone. I think this should be okay. So I don't technically need to do this. I do want to show off the Tower of Valny a little bit. So just like skirmishes, all the enemies here are monsters, so once we get access to the Slayer skill, it's kind of amazing. Just gonna take you out because you're... annoying, is what I was gonna say, and it's even more apt now. Yeah, I wanted Namie to go this way, so... we can probably do that. These maps are also pretty great for grinding up supports. Make sure you equip that, because you, by default, don't have that equipped, since you didn't have a weapon before. Okay. I think I can just put Vanessa around there, and, suppose I'm more likely to need healing over on this side once Colm starts taking damage, because he usually does. By the way, this is a route map. You need to kill all the enemies to progress. I was expecting 0 to... oh, okay. Looks like Gilliam didn't get poisoned. Guess I didn't need that after all. Don't like that Steel Lance guy, though. Why did you attack from 2 range? That was kind of bizarre. I guess you wanted to suicide so that my lower level characters wouldn't get the experience? Wow, I'm getting a pretty good Kyle. So the enemies here are just Revenants, and because of that, no matter how low level your characters are, these guys usually still take a lot of damage. 11 though. Let's... yeah, you just obliterate them. Right. I'm probably just going to have to do this, not even attacking yet. And I don't like that guy at all. Need to be careful of getting swarmed here. That is actually enough to kill. Okay, here's hoping Vanessa doesn't get hit by the Poison Sword. She got hit by the Poison Sword, of course she did. Shouldn't have spoke too soon. Okay, that guy can attack her, which is not good. Not unless I do this. Let's just see if we're luring anyone, though. So I want to make sure that Arthur kills this guy. 9 times 2, 18. That should be enough. Yeah, definitely enough. That hurts quite a lot. Of course, if that happens, then Arto gets attacked by that guy, but, I mean, well, I could just put forward in front of him. Still wouldn't have killed him regardless. I usually like to stay around the start point of this map and just bait the enemies to me. There are quite a lot of them, so luring them slowly is definitely a good help. Although... yeah, you're just gonna slaughter that thing. Shame I don't have a restore staff, otherwise I could just cure that poison, but I do not. So I'm gonna have to just use a bog standard heal here. I still forget if poison can actually kill people in this game. I actually think that it might. The damage done by poison is also kind of random as well. Sometimes it'll just do 1 or 2, and other times it'll do like 5 or something. It's pretty weird. So, just meat shielding with Gilliam here. They all seem to be going after him. That one has a lot of HP. A lot of HP. That's pretty much the case of Revenants. A lot of HP, not much in the way of other stats. There are some in Echoes that can actually be pretty tough, though. And this was why I didn't attack on the player phase. Coleman and Namie actually have a support up, and because of the fire affinity, that's an attack boost, so they're actually hitting a little bit harder than they normally would. Yeah, that poison did a little bit. Got all these zombies. Completely unnecessary, but I guess we got to see what the Archer Critical looks like. And yeah, these guys are around level 6 to 7, so they give pretty good experience to lower level characters at this point, while still not being very hard to take out because of their pretty non-existent defenses. The Entombed, though, can be pretty dangerous. Look at that strength stat. Funny thing is, the boss is also an Entombed, and his stats are pretty awful, so something that's actually pretty weird about the way the tower and another optional dungeon later in the game work is that scaling for stats works differently for... And you're not going to kill that guy. So, yeah, stat scaling. It works differently for bosses than it does for regular enemies, especially on the higher difficulty levels. And because of that, you'll often find that if you're playing on difficult mode, the bosses have vastly lower stats than the basic enemies, because, like I said, stat scaling works very differently for bosses than it does for normal enemies. Oh yeah, the weapons these guys have are also random, so sometimes some of them will have fetid claws instead of rotten claws, or... So there's fetid claw. Entombed seems to be more likely to get those. The one that you really want to watch out for, which you probably won't be seeing here, but it can show up in later skirmishes, is Sharp Talon. It's normally exclusive to Bales. It's pretty much the... Oh, wow, I'm getting pretty RNG screwed this playthrough. But Bales, the normal gimmick is they can poison you. Sharp Talon cannot poison you, but has an enormous amount of might to compensate. The thing with the Sharp Talon is, like I said, it's generally meant for Bales, but Revenants and Entombed can get it too later in the game, and you really want to watch out for them if they do have it, because it has an insane amount of might behind it. It hurts a lot, like really, really a lot. You know, I'm probably going to have to do a two-pronged blocking attempt of you there. Let's just see how much damage Carl takes into... Yeah, nothing. Yeah, that's fine. And now I can use a Menstaff here. Good news is, very few monsters have means of ranged attacks. Really, the only ones that are the ones that, well, the Moguls, and also the ones that use human weapons like javelins. But Revenants have no means of ranged attacks at all. And yeah, Natasha does tend to get very, very good when she levels up. Okay, let's see what happens now. You're not even attacking. You know that it's futile. Okay, here's where we have a problem. Okay, good, he dodged. If I was going to say, if Colin crits here, that could be really bad if he got hits. Whenever you're choke pointing, it's often a bad idea if you're critical. Huh. Why did that other guy not attack Kyle, and this guy who does 0 and gets 1 rounder did? Well, I guess they're zombies, so I can't really complain about them being stupid, but still, the AI is weird sometimes. And more poison damage. Okay, so, let's see, Colin... Yes, technically speaking, it's better if Colin gets the kill here. Because he might actually see some use for me. Nice dodge there. I like the thief dodge animation in this game. Thief animations in this game in general are kind of cool. No speed! That is really unfortunate since it's your best growth by far. Yeah, you probably won't be able to kill him. Definitely not. Arso can't kill him either. Okay, there is an entomb there. They've got a lot of attack power. 27, yeah, that's a huge amount. Probably better for Gilliam to even attack from this angle. Guess it does kind of make sense, because the Entombed in Echoes are pretty terrifying, might-wise as well. Though they have pathetically small HP. Okay, if I did put Naomi there, she would get attacked, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't get one-shotted, so, well, let me check. 14, no, she doesn't get one-shotted. There is absolutely no chance of getting one-shotted, because even if she had 0 defense, she would not get one-shotted. I apologize if this is boring anyone or anything. I just wanted to show what the first area of the Tower of Valny is like, because I may be coming back here to grind some characters who join later, but I won't be showing it on camera. Let's see. Obviously don't want him to go there, because there's the Entombed. I'd like Vanessa to... Poison's going to last for 3 more turns. I'd like her to maybe get a bit more experience here. Actually, let's just do this. Just realised this music sounds a little bit like the Fog of War theme from FE7. This, by the way, is called, actually, no, it's not called that. That's the enemy phase theme. But this song is played for the tower and a certain other area, so we'll be hearing this a lot in the post-game. But for now, we won't be hearing it that much. Yeah, skirmishers just use whatever battle theme, map theme, is currently happening for whichever route you're on. This guy just went on a pillar, which is annoying. And this guy decided to be stupid. Oh well, I guess one less Revenant. So I guess I can just talk briefly about why, well not briefly, while we've got a bit of downtime here, I can talk about some things that I'm planning on doing later on in the playthrough. So, I will be showing the entire Tower of Valny and a certain other, let's just say, area. But I'll do that at the very end, after I've completed the entire main story. I'll be saving both of them for post-game. Now, if you do try and take on the Tower of Valny in the post-game, it's usually very, very easy. It's not designed for post-game. It's designed for mid-game around, basically. Even its highest level is pretty much just mid-game level. So, doing it in the post-game, it tends to be very, very easy. So I might alleviate that a bit by using the B team to take on the Tower of Valny. So, you might see characters like Naomi here, Gilliam even, Arthur. Arthur is someone who's a candidate for my A team usually, but here he's going to be on the B team. But yeah, so look forward to it. So if there are some characters that you like, but I'm not going to be using in my main team, you might see them in the post-game. So that should be fun, hopefully. Yeah, this guy does a lot of damage. I am going to lure you with Kyle here. One of the few things that Kyle doesn't just slaughter here. I'm also pretty sure the boss moves. Gonna need to buy more heal staff soon, but we just got 10,000 gold, so that's kind of fine. I don't exactly trust Ford here. That guy has 7 speed. How much are you weighed down by that? Oh, only by 1. Yeah, you're not going to get double, but I suppose I could try. I'm sure he's going to be fine, but I'm still slightly worried. So, come here, Entombed. Here we go. Yeah, the funny thing about the Entombed map sprite is it's the same map sprite as Revenants have when they're walking forwards. So they're kind of lazy with that one. The other funny thing is that, so if you pay attention to Japanese names in this series, you'll know that Entombed have always been known as mummies in the Japanese version, which makes sense for the Gaiden, Echoes, and Awakening Entombed. The ones here, though, don't look like mummies at all, so... And that was probably why the translation, the localization for this game, because this was the first time that monsters appeared at all in the English versions, called them Entombed and not mummies, because they didn't look like mummies here, like I said, but they do look much more like mummies in other games. Yeah, let's just try and take this guy out. This one's have an enormous amount of HP. And are pretty strong, so they combine the Echoes Entombed with the, I guess, Awakening Entombed, the ones that have terrible stats but huge HP. Thankfully, there's no counter skills here to worry about. But as always, Entombed give huge experience. Now, getting 2 Entombed on this map is pretty lucky. You usually don't get 2 Entombed. The boss being a guaranteed Entombed, though, is what I find makes this map so good for grinding, and why usually I don't need any more than just this. I forgot how strong you were, HP-wise. You can't even double with that. This could actually be really... Wait. Kyle still has a javelin. Unfortunately, Kyle will kill it. You won't, but you will die. Okay, good. So if you can go here, that actually makes you safe as long as he survives. I'm just going to go ahead and try something here, because I'd kind of like Vanessa to get the kill. Yeah, don't do that. That would be a bad idea. Yeah, so they're hitting you really hard with these fetid claws. Imagine if they had sharp talons. You haven't seen sharp talons yet, but trust me, they're something to be really, really afraid of. Actually, probably won't do that. And that pillar's not going to mean anything to Vanessa. Haven't actually said this before. Ah. Actually, I might want to use the javelin here, because even though that's a high hit rate, if she misses, she's dead, and I don't like that prospect, so I'm going to go for this instead. And she hit, that's fine, yep. No risk to herself at all. I've not been lucky with high percent hit. 8 defense is not bad on her, actually. But yeah, I've really not been lucky with high percent hit rates in this playthrough so far, so I don't want to take my chances. Just go here and use this. Alright, I was about to say I should probably have her take the antitoxin, and then I just realized the map's, well, her poison's, well, 1, the map's going to be over soon, and 2, the poison is going to be running out about next turn, yeah. So the name that I was thinking of, the enemy phase map theme for these is called Twisted Shadows B. Kind of weird that you hear the B version of Twisted Shadows before the A version, but there's a reason for that. And there goes poison. Just suddenly got reminded of 2 things. 1, that status effects never wear off without a restore staff in FE5, which I really, really hate. And 2, something else that I really don't like is that in Echoes, they made the restore spell exclusive to DLC. That just... because you see status effects during the main story, so it felt pretty mean to have the status curing spell be restricted to DLC only. And I suppose I can get some experience healing forward again. Just realized that Natasha's going a whole map without Joshua. No! Oh, you're definitely not going to double or anything. No, there's no way Gilliam's going to one-round this guy. It'd be kind of funny if he did, but he's not going to. So this is almost over, and we've got a pretty decent amount of experience on everyone at this point. Like I said, I find this map to be really the only one I ever need for grinding, but I don't excessively grind. I only ever get people up to what level they should be if they join later in the story, just getting them caught up to the rest of the party. That's how I'll be using this from now on. And I won't actually need to do it too many times. There are only really 2 instances where I will need to do it. And both times, I won't be going beyond the first floor of the tower. I'll be saving the rest for the post-game. Oh, he's not moving. You're level 3, I guess you need this more. So, just cleaning up these enemies. This part's gone on for a lot longer than I thought it would, but just at least wanted to show off one map from this. And there's 50 gold. Really not very much in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, I think Vanessa can take you out. Yeah, pretty easily, too. Even more easily than I expected. Nice crit there. We have the victory as near theme already. Pretty sure he doesn't move, but I don't want to take my chances. Almost done here. There's also another reason why I don't like going beyond this floor when grinding. But I won't be able to explain it here because it's not actually going to be able to happen. And despite being classed as a boss, the bosses here don't have boss themes. Kind of a shame, but oh well. And Gilliam finally levels up. Yeah, that's not great. Not great at all. 9 times 2. I have a feeling Vanessa might... No, she won't. Okay. Unless she crits, but she didn't. Was trying to positively jinx myself there, but I didn't. Yeah, let's go for Arto finishing you. And that is floor 1 of the tower done. And being in Entombed, yeah, lots of experience. That's why I like this map for grinding as well, because there's 1 guaranteed Entombed, and sometimes more. Those are pretty much the stats you expect Arto to get when leveling up. And with that, we get a prompt to save. Normally, we would get a prompt whether or not to go on to the next floor. This is another reason why I only like grinding on the first floor, because this is really a double or nothing thing. You can't save at all while you're in the tower. If you choose to go on to the next floor and someone dies, if you reset, you'll lose all your progress from the earlier floors. So, like I said, I only like to do the first floor so I can go out and then save. That way I don't lose any grinding. With that, though, I'll be saving here, and next time we'll be moving on to the start of Erica's Act 2, basically, so see you then.